Hello everyone, what a glorious day. Bit of a different one today. I'm riding into the Cotswolds to meet a friend of mine, Chris, who's a professional trumpet player who is just back from, is it 3 months in Brazil he spent out there? Fantastic. He rides a Triumph Trident 660 and he's just done a few mods and a few bits and bobs on it, and we're going to meet for a cup of tea, maybe a bit of lunch, and do some bike swap. Do some country roads in the Cotswolds, swap bikes, swap back, and yeah, it's an opportunity for me to do a bit of filming and chat a little bit about a very different bike to this. This is obviously massive and relatively old, and his bike is smaller and relatively new. So yeah, that's the extent of my motoring journalism there. We shall give it a go. This is the only four-leaf clover junction in all of the UK. There you go, Anorak fact. And here we are, the meeting point. Pat Baps. He's not already here, is he? No, don't be silly. So the eagle-eyed among you will notice that I'm not on that Trident there. And the reason being is Chris has done a bit of work on the bike and he reset the preload, and because I'm cuddly man, the number plate rubs on the rear wheel when I sit on it. So that'll have to be next time. Oh, showbiz. So we're now off to Blenheim Palace for a bit of a... It's about half an hour away. It's well, just as you went over a bump then, it's well close. I don't know whether you can see on the camera, maybe I'll try and zoom in. But yeah, his number plate is half an inch, if that, from the rear tyre. And I'm probably a few kilos heavier than Chris, so yeah, that's ended that. That's a bit of an absolute fail, isn't it? One absolutely wonderful day. So yeah, I was just saying Chris has done some mods on his bike. He's put a USB port in and heated grips on, he changed the air filter, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying, it sounds like he had a bit of a shocker with the tail tide he's put on. Just the instructions were a bit naff and it involved drilling holes and poking and prodding and all sounds like a bit of a drama. But he's got a new exhaust coming next week, so I'll definitely be interested to ride the Trident after that's been put on. So we're approaching Blenheim Palace. It's definitely not. Definitely was a good idea for me to not ride that bike today, because that number plate, I don't know whether you can see, we're doing 20 now. It's just sort of bibbing and bapping, and it is slapping that rear tyre. And as I say, under acceleration or any bumps with me on it, and because you're catching the wheel on the way up onto the plate, yeah, you could end up ripping the plate off, and then that'd be a bit of a shocker for him getting home. So we're not doing that. One thing I love about having a bigger screen is you can probably hear on the microphone actually, I'm riding with my visor open, and on a day like this it's absolutely glorious. Although it does sort of, you suffer from hay fever, it does sort of like turbo your hay fever, because you're not just breathing pollen in, it's being fired into your eyes and face at 50 miles an hour. Here we are. Is it open? Can we even go in? We were just at Burford Garden Centre there. No entry for HGVs. Yeah, let's go. And we saw this on the map and thought, let's go here. What are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, I was thinking, can we just get near the front for a photo and then go again? You're the diplomat. Follow me. Hello. Do we have to pay to go in? Is it free to just like go around the outside and have a look? Right. Okay, how much is the ticket? 41. I'll tell Chris that. He's northern, he'll love that. Okay. Thank you very, very much. Um, it's not just a no. Do you want to know how much a ticket is to get in? Have it. Oh, my. Oh, there we go. My phone had heard me ask a question there. Have a guess. 40 quid. 41 per person. What I would say though is look at your. Can you see the number plate from this angle? Well, that's rubber, man. So that's the second absolute fail of the day. Shall we pop to Blenheim Planet? Blenheim Planet? Well, it might as well be. Blenheim Palace for a nosy. It's £41 each to get in. So I don't think we're going to do that. In fact, we're not doing that. So what's happening now is we're we're riding to B&Q, the nearest B&Q. So Chris can sort his preload out because on the back of that number plate is probably £5 worth of rear tyre just skimming off. So yeah, we'll get that sorted. Never a dull moment. So this is how well the day's going. We've come to BQ to get a C-spanner so we can adjust his preload, and they don't have one. So we're back on the bikes, and we're going we're going to Halfords, which is apparently just round the corner. So let's do that. We're here. Right, here we are, aboard the Trident 660. Fucking hell, it feels tiny. I feel absolutely massive on this bike. Oh, lovely throttle pickup though. Right, I've got 13 miles to get a flavour of this thing. Let's go. Let's see what we've got. The throttle progression's really nice and smooth actually. I would say I'm pretty sure it's a fly-by-wire on here, although it might not be because it's not got cruise control. I don't know, but the throttle progression is really nice actually. Mine's obviously a bit older, so I much prefer the front brake action on my bike. This feels just, the lever's a little long, just a little. There's a bit of sponge-ish. I don't know. It just feels a bit more cushiony, the front brake, whereas mine's a bit more step on it type thing. Right, round we go here. Yeah, the front brake's just got a bit of spare travel in it actually. I don't know whether it just needs it just needs picked up a bit. So Chris just said he feels like the gearbox is a lot more a bigger clunk in mine, which is definitely true. And this feels a lot more of a nice little. Do you know? It's funny. It's just a smaller, more newer, refined thing. Whereas mine's bigger and heavier, and I'm definitely noticing not having so much frontal area because I'm really feeling the wind. Although it's smooth, it makes it more obvious that I get a bit more buffeting whenever there's any crosswind on my bike. It almost like pushes things around the screen, and you get a bit of a buffet. But this is quite smooth. It's very loud wind noise, but that's probably just my helmet. Yeah, one thing, because I'm like Bowser from Mario Kart, the end of the bar mounted mirrors, I'm consciously having to pull my arms in to actually really see anything meaningful out of them. It feels completely foreign compared to my bike. It's very, very different. I feel like I'm sat on this, and my bike is very much of a sit-in kind of feel. Oh, by the way, we didn't manage to get the C-spanner, but the very kind man in Halfords had actually ridden his bike there, and he had one, which is an absolute result. Yeah, the gearbox is beautiful on this. Mine feels like a tractor in comparison. Not in terms of it's better or worse, but this just feels kind of more racy, and mine feels more sort of agricultural. And I mean, it sort of suits the bike in a way, where the kind of gearbox feel of my bike on this would just feel ridiculous. Whereas everything's heavier on my bike. The clutch is a bit heavier. The brakes, although I think there's more assistance on here, there's just a little dead zone in the front lever that I'm less fussed on. But again, I suppose you'd get used to that. I don't know whether you can hear that on the microphone, but it's like being in a wind tunnel without my normal screen. And I haven't got my earplugs in, so I would definitely need to if I was doing this for any period of time. But do you know what? I really like the bike. I love the gearbox feel. But there'll also be an age gap, and the fact that this has only done 6,000 miles and the mine's done 40,000 miles. That's always going to be a factor as well, in just how different they are. I much prefer an analog dial for the revs. That might just me being old school, because I feel like the movement of it you can track in your periphery a lot better than this kind of setup. I feel like I'm having to, not that I ever really do, but when I'm looking, I'm having to look rather than just, you know, a soft glance. I'm noticeably colder on this. It's obviously the wind protection, because I've only just got off my bike and got on this, and it's noticeably, I'm more feeling a bit cold. Right, we're going left here. 5 miles left. Oh, the gearbox is stunning. Oh, and it feels so small coming through traffic. Yeah, at high speed it's quite fatiguing because the wind wants to pull you off the bike. The wind against the helmet, you're kind of having to brace against that wind. I don't know if I could do 200 miles on it, but then it's not really for that, is it? I have got an adventure helmet on as well, which is basically a parachute on this kind of bike. I am back on the Tiger 1200. Absolutely wonderful to have a blast on the Trident. It's such a different philosophy of bike. Feels completely different. Every haptic, you know, clutch, brakes, gears, rear brake, handlebars, seat position, everything properly foreign feeling, but really great. Once you get that first mile of like which end do I blow down out of the way, you know, then it felt great. What a great bike. Lovely to be back on mine though for the 65 miles home. It's been a bit of an adventure today, so thanks ever so much for sticking around, and see you on the next one.